Left alone at a wedding, she boarded a jet with a mysterious billionaire who made her an offer. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Emma hurried down the street, her heart still racing from the awkward encounter at the wedding. The night had started with such high hopes, but it ended in embarrassment. She couldn't believe she had mistaken a stranger for her date. As she reached the end of the block, she pulled out her phone to check the message again. Hey, Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you, Kevin. Her cheeks flushed with humiliation. What was she thinking? How could she make such a ridiculous mistake? It felt like she had been swallowed up by the ground, and she couldn't wait to get home and crawl into her bed. But as she turned the corner, her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden voice calling her name. She froze in her tracks. Emma! She heard from behind her. She turned slowly, her heart skipping a beat as she recognized the voice. It was him, the man from the wedding, the one she had thought was Kevin, the stranger who had been kind to her when she needed it most. You ran off so quickly, he said, catching up to her with long strides. He looked more relaxed now, his jacket off and his sleeves rolled up, revealing muscular arms. The dim streetlight cast a warm glow over him, and he seemed even more handsome now, up close. I'm so sorry, Emma stammered, her words tangled in embarrassment. I really messed up back there. I thought you were someone else, and It's okay, he interrupted, his voice soft and understanding. I should have told you earlier. I didn't want to embarrass you. Emma blinked, confused. What do you mean? He gave a small chuckle, shaking his head. I'm Liam, by the way, he said, his tone friendly but guarded. And I wasn't expecting you to sit down at my table, but I didn't mind. I've been to plenty of awkward blind dates myself. Emma's confusion only deepened. But you said you worked in tech. What are you really doing here? Liam hesitated for a moment, as if debating whether to reveal more. Well, he began, I do work in tech, but I'm also, well, let's just say I have a few business ventures on the side. Emma frowned, still not understanding what he meant. What kind of ventures? She asked, her curiosity piqued. Liam hesitated for a moment before finally speaking. Let's just say I'm involved in more than just coding and tech. I run a few companies, investments, that kind of thing. His words were cryptic, but the way he spoke, with quiet confidence, made her realize he was more than just a regular guy. Emma still felt unsure, but the more she thought about it, the more something inside her told her he wasn't lying. There was something about him that felt different, something that made her want to know more. I don't want to keep you, Liam said, breaking her thoughts, but I really would like to make it up to you. How about we grab a coffee sometime, or maybe dinner, if you're up for it? Emma looked at him, still unsure. I don't know, she said, biting her lip. I feel like I've already made a fool of myself. I don't think you've made a fool of yourself, Liam replied, his eyes sincere. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we move past them that matters. Emma didn't know what to say. She had always been so careful about who she trusted, but there was something about Liam that felt safe. I'll think about it, she said finally, still unsure. I understand, Liam said, giving her a warm smile. Take your time, but don't be a stranger, okay? With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Emma standing there, her mind swirling with questions. What was this all about? Who was this man, really? And why did it feel like their paths had crossed for a reason? The next few days passed in a blur for Emma. She tried to push the encounter with Liam out of her mind, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him than just a rich guy with a mysterious job. As the days went on, she couldn't stop thinking about the way he had smiled at her, the way he had made her feel seen. It was like he had an aura about him that she couldn't ignore. She kept wondering why he had approached her in the first place. Why had he not corrected her right away when she had mistaken him for someone else? And why did he want to see her again? It didn't make sense. Liam was a businessman, probably used to dealing with people on his terms. So why would he want to spend time with someone like her, a waitress who was just trying to get by? The question swirled in her mind, but she couldn't deny that part of her wanted to take him up on his offer. Part of her wanted to see where this could go, even though she knew it was risky. She was still hesitant, still unsure, but she couldn't help but wonder, What if this was the start of something unexpected? Days passed, and Emma found herself unable to shake the memory of Liam. She tried to stay focused on her life, her work, but her thoughts kept drifting back to him. It wasn't just the way he had looked at her, or how he had made her feel seen. It was something more, something that tugged at her curiosity, something she couldn't quite place. She had always been so careful with who she let into her life, especially after everything she'd been through. But with him, it felt different. She had to admit, she was intrigued. There was a quiet confidence about Liam, something that made her want to understand him better. It wasn't long before she heard from him again. A simple text message popped up on her phone one afternoon. "Hey, it's Liam. I hope you're doing well. If you're still interested, I'd love to take you out for that coffee." Emma hesitated. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment, as she debated what to do. Part of her wanted to respond, wanted to see where this could go, but another part of her was scared. What if she was just imagining things? What if this was all just some game to him? But after a few moments of contemplation, she typed back, "Okay, coffee sounds good. When?" They set a time for the next evening, and as the day went on, Emma's nerves began to build. What was she even thinking? She didn't belong in his world. But still, there was something about him that made her feel like she had to at least give it a chance. That evening, she found herself standing in front of a small, cozy cafe downtown, the kind of place where the coffee smelled like comfort and the lighting was warm and inviting. She checked her phone again to make sure she was in the right spot. And just as she did, a black car pulled up in front of the cafe. Liam stepped out, looking effortlessly handsome in a tailored jacket and dark jeans. He spotted her immediately and waved, his smile as warm as ever. "Hey Emma," he said as he approached. "I'm glad you could make it." Emma smiled, feeling a little less nervous. "Thanks for inviting me," she replied. They went inside and ordered their drinks, Emma opting for a simple cappuccino, while Liam ordered an espresso. They found a small table by the window, where the soft glow of the streetlights outside added a cozy ambiance to the space. "So," Liam began after a few moments of comfortable silence, "how has your week been? How's work?" Emma took a sip of her drink, gathering her thoughts before answering. "It's been busy. I'm working at the diner more hours than I'd like, but it pays the bills. Not exactly glamorous, but it keeps me afloat." She laughed softly, trying to make light of it. Liam nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I get it. I used to work a lot of late nights when I was starting out. It's not easy, but it builds character." He paused, watching her for a moment. "What about your art? I remember you said you wanted to open your own studio one day." Emma's eyes lit up at the mention of her passion. "Yeah, that's still the dream. I've been sketching in my spare time, but it's hard to find the energy after work. I just don't have the time or resources to really make it happen right now." Liam leaned back in his chair, his eyes softening as he listened. "You know," he said slowly, "I think you've got something special. I saw it in the way you talk about your art. It's clear you care about it, and I believe you'll find a way to make it happen. You just have to keep pushing." Emma was taken aback by his words. No one had ever really believed in her like that before. "Thank you," she said, her voice quiet but sincere. "That means a lot to me." The conversation flowed easily after that, moving from light-hearted topics to more personal ones. They talked about their childhoods, their hopes, and their fears. Emma found herself opening up more than she had planned, telling Liam things she hadn't shared with anyone in a long time. Liam, too, shared glimpses of his own life, though he still kept certain things close to the chest. By the time they finished their drinks, Emma felt a connection with him that she hadn't expected. It wasn't just the fact that he was successful and wealthy, though that part was undeniable. It was his kindness, his attention to detail, the way he made her feel like she mattered. As they stood to leave, Liam turned to her with a smile. "I had a really good time tonight, Emma. We should do this again sometime." Emma nodded, smiling back. "Yeah, I'd like that." As they stepped outside into the cool evening air, Emma couldn't help but feel that something had shifted. She didn't know what the future held, or where this connection might lead. But for the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful. And maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something more than she had ever imagined. Over the next few days, Emma couldn't stop thinking about Liam and their coffee date. She tried to focus on her work, on her dreams of opening her own art studio. But every time she closed her eyes, his face came to mind. There was something about him, something more than just his wealth and charm. It was the way he listened, the way he made her feel like she mattered. She had been so caught up in her own world of struggles and late-night shifts that she had almost forgotten what it felt like to be truly seen. But with Liam, it was different. Every time they spoke, she felt like he understood her in a way no one else did, and that terrified her. Was she just imagining it, or was there something real between them? She didn't know, but she couldn't deny that she wanted to find out. A few days after their date, Liam texted her again. "Hey Emma, I'm going to a charity gala this weekend. I know it's short notice, but would you like to join me? It's for a good cause, and I think you'd enjoy it." Emma was taken aback. A charity gala? That was so far out of her comfort zone. She wasn't the type to attend fancy events with tuxedos and gowns. But then she remembered his kind words, the way he made her feel like she belonged, and for a moment, she found herself typing a response without thinking. "I'd love to," she wrote, her fingers trembling slightly. "Thank you for inviting me." She pressed send, unsure of what she had just committed to. The day of the gala arrived, and Emma stood in front of her mirror, staring at the dress she had borrowed from a friend. It was simple but elegant, nothing like the designer gowns she had seen in magazines, but it would have to do. She pulled her hair into a neat bun, applied a bit of makeup, and took a deep breath. She had no idea what to expect, but she knew she couldn't back out now. When Liam picked her up, she was surprised at how relaxed he seemed, as if attending a gala was just another day for him. He was dressed in a black tuxedo, looking every bit the part of the successful businessman she knew he was. But there was something else about him, a warmth in his eyes, a kindness that made her feel like she didn't have to pretend to be someone else. "You look beautiful, Emma," he said as she got into the car. His compliment made her cheeks flush, and for a moment, she felt a little out of place. But the way he looked at her made her feel like she belonged there with him. The gala was held in a grand ballroom, the kind of place where everything was polished and perfect, from the crystal chandeliers to the white tablecloths. The guests were all well dressed, mingling and laughing as they sipped champagne. Emma felt like she was walking into a dream, and for a moment, she wondered if she belonged in such a world. But Liam was there by her side, guiding her through the crowd with ease, introducing her to people she never would have dreamed of meeting. She felt nervous, out of place, but Liam made her feel comfortable, like she was part of this world, even if she wasn't sure if she fit in. "This is all so new to me," Emma admitted as they stood by the buffet table. "I'm not really used to all this luxury." Liam smiled, his expression warm and understanding. "I get it, it's all a bit overwhelming at first, but trust me, you belong here just as much as anyone else." His words reassured her, and she found herself relaxing, enjoying the evening for what it was. As the night went on, Emma was surprised at how natural it felt to be with Liam. They shared stories, laughed, and talked about everything from their favorite movies to their childhoods. Emma had never felt so at ease with someone before, and as the evening came to a close, Liam turned to her with a soft smile. "I'm glad you came tonight, Emma," he said. "It means a lot to me that you're here." Emma's heart fluttered at his words, and she felt a connection to him that she hadn't expected. "Thank you for inviting me," she said softly. "I'm really glad I came too." They shared a moment of silence, just standing there in the midst of the bustling gala, their eyes locked. And for the first time in a long while, Emma felt like maybe, just maybe, she had found something real. The night ended with Liam driving her home, the soft hum of the car engine filling the comfortable silence between them. When they reached her apartment, Liam turned to her, his expression thoughtful. "I'd like to see you again, Emma," he said, his voice steady, "if you're open to it." Emma felt a rush of emotions. She hadn't expected things to move so quickly, but there was something about Liam that made her want to take a chance. "I'd like that too," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. And as she stepped out of the car and walked toward her apartment door, she couldn't help but feel like her life was about to change in ways she couldn't yet imagine. The following week, Emma couldn't help but feel like her life had taken an unexpected turn. After the gala, things between her and Liam had only grown more comfortable, more natural. They had gone out for coffee again, shared meals, and spent more time together. Each time they met, Emma felt a little more at ease, a little more sure of herself. But there was still a part of her that hesitated. Was this real? Or was she just another person in Liam's world of business deals and high society? The questions lingered in the back of her mind, but every time she was with him, the answers seemed less important. He made her feel like she mattered, like she wasn't just some waitress trying to make ends meet. He looked at her as if she was worth something, and that made her feel special. Yet, deep down, she wondered how long it would last. Could a relationship like this really work? A girl from a small apartment with big dreams, and a man who lived a life she could hardly comprehend? The disparity between their worlds was undeniable. One evening, Liam invited her to dinner at a fancy restaurant, a place where the waiters wore tuxedos and the food looked like art. It was a place Emma had only ever seen in movies, and she couldn't help but feel out of place as they sat down at a table overlooking the city lights. "You look beautiful tonight," Liam said, his voice soft as he took her hand across the table. Emma smiled, but there was a hint of nervousness in her eyes. "Thank you. I'm not used to places like this," she admitted. "I feel like I don't belong here." Liam squeezed her hand gently, his eyes warm. "You belong here with me, Emma. Don't ever think otherwise." His words were simple, but they carried weight. Emma felt her heart flutter, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was still so much about him that she didn't know. As dinner progressed, they talked about their lives, their pasts, and their dreams. Emma shared more about her struggle to make ends meet, her desire to open her own art studio, and her passion for painting. Liam listened attentively, his eyes never leaving hers. There was something different about the way he listened. It wasn't just polite interest. It was genuine, as if he truly cared about what she had to say. "I know you'll make it," he said after a moment, his voice full of conviction. "You've got the talent, and you've got the drive. All you need is the right opportunity." Emma looked down at her plate, feeling a wave of emotion wash over her. "It's hard sometimes," she admitted. "I feel like I'm stuck. Like no matter how hard I try, I can't get ahead." Liam reached across the table, gently lifting her chin so she was looking at him. "You don't have to do it alone," he said softly. "I'm here for you." The sincerity in his voice made her heart skip a beat. She hadn't expected him to say that, to offer her something more than just companionship. It was as if he was offering her a chance to truly change her life. "I don't know what to say," Emma whispered, her voice shaking slightly. "I never thought anyone would believe in me like that." Liam smiled, his eyes full of warmth. "I believe in you, Emma, and I'm not going anywhere." His words gave her the strength she didn't know she had. For the first time in a long while, Emma allowed herself to dream bigger, to believe that maybe, just maybe, her life could be different. After dinner, Liam drove her home, the night air cool and crisp. As they arrived at her apartment, he stopped the car and turned to her. "I have something I want to ask you, Emma," he said, his voice serious. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about where we're headed. And I want to know if you're willing to take the next step with me." Emma's heart raced as she looked at him, unsure of what he meant. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam took a deep breath, as if gathering his thoughts. "I'm asking you to be part of my world, Emma, to let me help you achieve your dreams. But more than that, I want to be there for you, to support you, to love you, if you'll let me." His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Emma felt a lump form in her throat, emotions swirling inside her. This wasn't just about business or money. It was about something real, something genuine. She had been so afraid of opening up, of letting someone in, but with Liam, it felt different. She had never felt so sure of anything before. "Yes," she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. "Yes, I want that. I want to be with you." Liam smiled, his eyes lighting up with happiness. He leaned in, gently kissing her forehead. "Then we'll take this one step at a time, together." As Emma walked into her apartment, she felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. For the first time in what felt like forever, she believed that maybe, just maybe, everything was finally falling into place. In the weeks that followed, Emma found herself living in a whirlwind of emotions. Liam had kept his word, supporting her in every way he could. He introduced her to people who could help her take her art career to the next level, connected her with mentors, and even arranged for her to attend an art exhibition where she could showcase her work. It all seemed too good to be true, but every step of the way, Liam had been there, making sure she never felt alone. He was everything she had never dared to hope for: kind, supportive, and always encouraging. But with every passing day, the gap between their worlds seemed to grow wider. She was constantly reminded of how different their lives were. Liam's world was filled with luxury and high society, while she was still struggling to make ends meet. Even though he had assured her time and time again that she belonged in his world, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she was just an outsider, a small-town girl who had somehow stumbled into a life she didn't truly belong to. One evening, as they sat in a quiet corner of a new restaurant Liam had taken her to, Emma found herself lost in thought. Liam noticed the faraway look in her eyes and gently placed his hand on hers. "What's on your mind?" he asked softly. Emma hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to voice the doubts she had been keeping inside. I don't know, Liam," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I feel like I don't belong here. Like no matter how hard I try, I'm still the waitress, the girl from a small apartment, and you're this billionaire businessman with a life I can't even begin to understand." Liam's expression softened, and he gently lifted her chin, so she was looking at him. "Emma," he said, his voice steady, "you belong here with me, every step of the way. I don't care about where you come from or what your job is. What matters is who you are, and who you are is someone I care about deeply. Don't let these doubts control you." Emma's eyes filled with emotion as she looked at him, the weight of her insecurities pressing down on her. "I want to believe that," she said, her voice trembling. "But it's hard. You have this whole world, and I'm just trying to catch up." Liam's thumb brushed gently over the back of her hand, his touch comforting. "I'm not asking you to catch up, Emma. I'm asking you to walk beside me. We're a team, remember? And there's no one I'd rather have by my side than you." Emma looked down at their hands, feeling the warmth of his words wrap around her like a security blanket. She had never felt so supported in her life, but there was still a part of her that worried about what the future might bring. Could she really fit into his world? Could their relationship survive the differences between them? "What if I'm not enough for you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam's expression softened, and he took her other hand, pulling it gently to his chest. "You're more than enough, Emma. You've always been enough." His words were simple, but they struck her deeply. She had always been so afraid of not measuring up, of being too ordinary for someone like Liam. But in that moment, she realized that it didn't matter. He cared about her for who she was, not for what she had or didn't have. With him, she was enough. "Thank you," Emma whispered, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I needed to hear that." Liam smiled and leaned in, brushing a soft kiss against her forehead. "Anytime, Emma, anytime." The evening passed with more conversation and laughter, the doubts that had lingered in her heart slowly fading away. Emma realized that while the differences between their worlds were real, they didn't have to be a barrier. With Liam by her side, she felt like she could conquer anything. The next day, Liam surprised her with a visit to an art gallery where one of her paintings was being featured. Emma had worked so hard for this moment, and seeing her work displayed on the walls of such a prestigious place filled her with pride. "You did this, Emma," Liam said, as they stood in front of her painting. "This is just the beginning." Emma smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said, her voice thick with gratitude. "You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself." Liam's smile was soft and tender as he reached out, taking her hand. "You always had it in you, Emma. I just helped you see it." For the first time in a long while, Emma felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. She wasn't just a girl from a small apartment, and she wasn't just someone's girlfriend. She was Emma Brooks, an artist with a future full of possibilities. And with Liam by her side, she knew that anything was possible. In the days that followed, Emma found herself stepping into a new chapter of her life. Liam's unwavering support had helped her gain the confidence she never thought she'd have. Her art was being recognized, her career was starting to take off, and for the first time, she felt like she was truly living her dream. But despite all the success, a part of her still felt uneasy. She had come so far, but what about Liam? Would their worlds always be so different? Would the divide between their lives eventually become too much to overcome? She didn't want to admit it, but the fear of losing him lingered in the back of her mind. As they spent more time together, Emma realized how much she had come to care for him. Liam was more than just a successful businessman. He was kind, genuine, and always made her feel special. But with every step forward, the question remained, was she enough for him? One evening, as they were sitting in Liam's penthouse, overlooking the city skyline, Emma finally spoke up. "Liam, can we talk?" she asked, her voice quiet but steady. He looked up from his phone, concern flashing in his eyes. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Emma took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. I know we've been spending a lot of time together, and I can't help but feel like I'm not enough for you. You have this amazing life, all this success, and I'm still trying to figure things out. I don't want to be a burden to you. Liam's face softened as he set his phone aside and reached for her hand. Emma, listen to me, he said, his voice full of sincerity. You are more than enough. I don't care about your past, or where you came from. What matters is who you are now, and the person I've come to know. You're talented, kind, and you have the biggest heart of anyone I know. I don't want you to ever feel like you're not enough. You're everything to me. His words hit her harder than she expected, and for a moment, she couldn't speak. Her heart swelled with emotion, and she found herself tearing up. But your world, it's so different from mine. I'm just a small-town girl with big dreams. You could have anyone, Liam. Why me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam gently cupped her face, making her look into his eyes. Because I want you. I don't care about anything else. I'm not looking for someone perfect, Emma. I'm looking for someone who makes me feel alive, who challenges me, who believes in me just as much as I believe in them. And that person is you. Emma felt a tear slip down her cheek, and Liam wiped it away with his thumb, his expression tender. I've never met anyone like you, he continued. You've changed my life in ways I never imagined. I don't care about the things that separate us. I care about what brings us together. His words washed over her like a wave, and for the first time, she felt like everything was going to be okay. Maybe their worlds were different, but their connection was real, and that was what mattered. I'm scared, Liam, Emma admitted, her voice shaking slightly. Scared of getting hurt, of not being enough. Liam kissed her forehead gently, his voice soft but steady. I'll never hurt you, Emma, I promise, and you don't have to be anything other than who you are. For a moment, they sat in silence, the weight of their words settling between them. Emma felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in a long time. The fear that had plagued her for so long started to fade, replaced by a quiet certainty that she had found something worth holding on to. The next few weeks were filled with more shared moments of connection. They attended events together, traveled to new places, and supported each other through everything life threw their way. Slowly, Emma started to see their relationship in a new light. It wasn't about the differences in their backgrounds or the challenges they would face. It was about the love they shared, the way they made each other feel. Emma had never known a love like this before, and she wasn't about to let fear take it away from her. One evening, as they stood on the rooftop of Liam's penthouse, watching the sunset together, Liam turned to her with a serious expression on his face. Emma, I've been thinking a lot about our future, he said, his voice low but full of emotion. I know we've had our doubts, our fears, but I want to take the next step with you. I want to build a life with you. Will you marry me? Emma's heart skipped a beat as the words sank in. She had always dreamed of a love like this, but never thought it could be real. And now, standing here with Liam, she realized that all her fears had been for nothing. This was real. This was love. Yes, she said, her voice steady. Yes, I will marry you. Liam smiled, his eyes sparkling with happiness. He kissed her gently, and as they stood there together, Emma knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. They had come this far, and nothing could stand in their way. Their love was stronger than any obstacle, and it was just beginning. In the days that followed, Emma found herself stepping into a new chapter of her life. Liam's unwavering support had helped her gain the confidence she never thought she'd have. Her art was being recognized, her career was starting to take off, and for the first time, she felt like she was truly living her dream. But despite all the success, a part of her still felt uneasy. She had come so far, but what about Liam? Would their worlds always be so different? Would the divide between their lives eventually become too much to overcome? She didn't want to admit it, but the fear of losing him lingered in the back of her mind. As they spent more time together, Emma realized how much she had come to care for him. Liam was more than just a successful businessman. He was kind, genuine, and always made her feel special. But with every step forward, the question remained. Was she enough for him? One evening, as they were sitting in Liam's penthouse overlooking the city skyline, Emma finally spoke up. Liam, can we talk? She asked, her voice quiet but steady. He looked up from his phone, concern flashing in his eyes. Of course, what's on your mind? Emma took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. I know we've been spending a lot of time together, and I can't help but feel like I'm Not enough for you. You have this amazing life, all this success, and I'm still trying to figure things out. I don't want to be a burden to you." Liam's face softened as he set his phone aside and reached for her hand. "Emma, listen to me," he said, his voice full of sincerity. "You are more than enough. I don't care about your past or where you came from. What matters is who you are now and the person I've come to know. You're talented, kind, and you have the biggest heart of anyone I know. I don't want you to ever feel like you're not enough. You're everything to me." His words hit her harder than she expected, and for a moment, she couldn't speak. Her heart swelled with emotion, and she found herself tearing up. "But your world, it's so different from mine. I'm just a small-town girl with big dreams. You could have anyone, Liam." "Why me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam gently cupped her face, making her look into his eyes. "Because I want you. I don't care about anything else. I'm not looking for someone perfect, Emma. I'm looking for someone who makes me feel alive, who challenges me, who believes in me just as much as I believe in them. And that person is you." Emma felt a tear slip down her cheek, and Liam wiped it away with his thumb, his expression tender. "I've never met anyone like you," he continued. "You've changed my life in ways I never imagined. I don't care about the things that separate us. I care about what brings us together." His words washed over her like a wave, and for the first time, she felt like everything was going to be okay. Maybe their worlds were different, but their connection was real, and that was what mattered. "I'm scared, Liam," Emma admitted, her voice shaking slightly. "Scared of getting hurt, of not being enough." Liam kissed her forehead gently, his voice soft but steady. "I'll never hurt you, Emma, I promise. And you don't have to be anything other than who you are." For a moment, they sat in silence, the weight of their words settling between them. Emma felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in a long time. The fear that had plagued her for so long started to fade, replaced by a quiet certainty that she had found something worth holding on to. The next few weeks were filled with more shared moments of connection. They attended events together, traveled to new places, and supported each other through everything life threw their way. Slowly, Emma started to see their relationship in a new light. It wasn't about the differences in their backgrounds or the challenges they would face. It was about the love they shared, the way they made each other feel. Emma had never known a love like this before, and she wasn't about to let fear take it away from her. One evening, as they stood on the rooftop of Liam's penthouse, watching the sunset together, Liam turned to her with a serious expression on his face. "Emma, I've been thinking a lot about our future," he said, his voice low but full of emotion. "I know we've had our doubts, our fears, but I want to take the next step with you. I want to build a life with you. Will you marry me?" Emma's heart skipped a beat as the words sank in. She had always dreamed of a love like this, but never thought it could be real. And now, standing here with Liam, she realized that all her fears had been for nothing. This was real. This was love. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "Yes, I will marry you." Liam smiled, his eyes sparkling with happiness. He kissed her gently, and as they stood there together, Emma knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. They had come this far, and nothing could stand in their way. Their love was stronger than any obstacle, and it was just beginning. As the days turned into weeks, Emma found herself falling deeper in love with Liam. The bond they shared had only grown stronger, and as the date for their wedding approached, Emma could hardly believe how far she had come. From a waitress with dreams of owning her own art studio to a woman standing beside the man who had not only believed in her but had shown her that anything was possible, Emma felt like she was living a dream. But even with everything falling into place, there was one thing that still weighed heavily on her heart. Her art, her true passion. She had come so far with Liam's help, but she had always feared that she would have to give up her dreams for the life that he could offer her. What if their worlds were just too different? What if, in the end, her art would always come second to the life Liam had built for himself? Liam had been nothing but supportive, always encouraging her to pursue her dreams, but Emma couldn't shake the fear that she would lose herself in his world. It wasn't that she didn't love him. She did, with all her heart. But she couldn't imagine giving up her art, her purpose, for a life that wasn't her own. One evening, as they sat together in the living room of their apartment, Emma brought up her fears. "Liam, I need to talk to you about something," she said, her voice soft but filled with uncertainty. He looked up from his phone, concern immediately flashing in his eyes. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Emma took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. I've been thinking a lot about our future, and about my future, and I'm scared. I'm scared that I'll lose myself in all of this. She motioned around the apartment, her gaze falling on the luxury and elegance that surrounded them. I don't want to give up my dreams, Liam. I don't want to lose my art. Liam's expression softened, and he stood up, moving to sit beside her on the couch. He took her hand in his touch gentle and reassuring. Emma, he said, his voice steady, I know how important your art is to you. I would never want you to give that up. I love you for who you are, and your art is a part of who you are. He paused, looking into her eyes with the same sincerity that had first drawn her to him. I want you to be happy, Emma. And if that means you need to focus on your art, then I'm here to support you in that, no matter what. Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her as she looked at him. She had been so afraid that her dreams would be sacrificed, that she would be forced to choose between the life she wanted and the life she had with Liam. But here he was, telling her that she didn't have to choose. He was willing to stand by her, no matter what path she decided to take. Thank you, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I've been so afraid that I would lose myself in all of this, but hearing you say that, it means everything to me. Liam smiled, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. You don't have to be afraid, Emma. We're in this together. Whatever you decide to do, I'll always be by your side. Emma smiled, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. She knew that their relationship wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was built on trust and understanding. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she could breathe, like she could chase her dreams without fear of losing the man she loved. Their wedding day arrived, and Emma stood in front of the mirror, her heart pounding with excitement. She had never felt so sure of anything in her life. As she looked at herself in the white dress, her thoughts turned to Liam. He had shown her what it meant to love and be loved. He had given her the courage to chase her dreams, and now she was about to marry the man who had changed her life in every way. The ceremony was simple but beautiful. Surrounded by close friends and family, Emma and Liam exchanged vows, promising to support each other through whatever life brought their way. When it was Liam's turn to speak, he looked at her with love and tenderness in his eyes. Emma, he said, his voice filled with emotion, I've spent my life building a career, but meeting you has shown me that life isn't about success or wealth. It's about the people we love, and the moments we share. You are my everything, Emma, and I promise to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you make me. Emma's heart swelled with love as she listened to his words. She had never imagined that her life would turn out this way, but now, standing here, with Liam by her side, she knew that anything was possible. They sealed their vows with a kiss, and as they stood together, hand in hand, Emma realized that the journey she had started as a small-town girl with big dreams had led her to a life filled with love, support, and the freedom to be herself. With Liam by her side, Emma knew that the future was bright, and together, they could face anything that came their way. And as they left the church, their hearts full of love, Emma couldn't help but smile. This was just the beginning of their story, and she couldn't wait to see where it would take them.